Well, good evening, folks, and welcome to this surprise Tuesday edition of the Whitfield Report. I am your host, Sam Whitfield, and I hope the stream quality is okay. It's telling me that the stream quality is a bit degraded, so everything looks good on my end, but, as always, if if there's anything that happens, just let me know, and we'll take from there, folks. How are you? Hope you're doing well. This is a surprise, Tuesday edition, and I was originally going to do a video of this. This was just going to be a quick video, and then I just decided, you know what? I'll do a live stream of this because I've actually gained a lot of new subscribers over the past couple months. The last time I did a kind of like a self-explanatory stream, I only had 200 subscribers way back in February. And you can still find that stream if you want to, but I just figured I would kind of do this for the new savages and also for the new audio podcast subscribers who are also savages. Anyway, contact info as usual. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at @SomebdyBro_NGC, hashtag Whitfield Report. You can follow me on Minds and Gab at Sam Whitfield, Facebook.com/Whitfield Report, and thesamwhitfield.com for all my blog and other stuff. And follow the podcast over on anchor.fm/Whitfield Report. That's where you can also contribute monthly if you would like to do that. I will be relaunching my Patreon page probably next year, but I'm working on that and a couple other things too. But anyway, folks, I want to thank you for coming out. I realized that, Nightwave and a couple other streamers are live right now, so if you want to go watch those, don't feel obliged to stick around here. I just wanted to do this. This is the only time I really can do this stream today. But anyway, folks, it's been a long time coming. So anyway, folks, first of all, I want to thank you all for tuning in to Davey Crocco's stream last night, where Johnny and I were discussing the bear scandal, or rather, the bear cult. And a lot of you guys have subsequently found me because of the Owen thing, which is interesting because I originally did not intend to become known because of Owen, or at least not in this circle anyway. Yeah. But, okay, so I guess I'll start just on my background, from the beginning in politics. So, when I was roughly 13, 14 years old, I was always one of those kids in school who was a nerd when it came to, history and current events. Those were always the subjects that I excelled in. I still consider myself somewhat of a nerd, too, in those aspects. And growing up, both my parents were politically knowledgeable. Neither of them have worked in politics, but they stayed up with news and current events as well. I have one parent who's more, on the left and more on the conservative side, but neither of them are crazy, and so I'm very good at seeing both sides of the you know spectrum, and beyond that, all sides of the spectrum as I've gotten a bit older as well. Um, and so during the 2008 election, which seems like a long ass time ago now because it was, um, I remember this one assignment for like a civics class or something. We had to look at the voting record of each candidate running and what they um, were about. So at the time, that was, um, Obama, then Senator Obama, and McCain. Now, at that point, I had been listening to, Rush Limbaugh for a couple of years as well. So Rush is obviously a big influence in my broadcasting style. I'll get to that in a sec. But I remember looking at Obama's voting records, and this was a guy who rarely attended congressional sessions. And then when he would vote on stuff, he would, well, for most of the propositions going forward, he would just put not voting. He would abstain from all sorts of crap. Then Senator Obama would. So I remember in my mind being like a very, academic sort of political guy. I would bring that up to the rest of my friends who were all enamored with the fact that Obama could have been the first black president. And I remember asking like a few of my friends, I like the idea of having the first African American president as much as anybody, but this guy doesn't vote on anything, so shouldn't we, get someone who's a bit more qualified? And I got called a racist by white white rich kids in my school, no less. Who's, who would dress even fancier than this. A lot more gaudy, too, by the way, I might add. And it was just like an automatic, reflex for a lot of people. Like, I would just ask, questions that, like, why they supported Obama. And it would literally be like, oh, he's the first black candidate, bruh. Don't you want that? What do I got the first black candidate, bruh, speech from a lot of people. So that was lovely. And just because I questioned the almighty Obama, I got called a racist. So I decided to start a podcast, and at that point, like, it wasn't even really that I set out to podcast, like do a long-term thing. Initially, when I started my first show, the Whitfield Analysis, it was just like 15-minute audio files, kind of like an audio blog almost, where I would just, espouse my views on things. Now, also, way back when, I was, I guess, more of like an establishment neocon kid, lots of just standard GOP talking points. I mean, I was in 8th grade, but also part of the reason why, blog too, or I guess podcasted, was because, I have cerebral palsy. I'm in a wheelchair, but at that time too, I also couldn't type as well physically as I can now. So for me, vocal, in podcasting was easier for me. And my first couple of episodes are admittedly very cringe. I'll try and find those and maybe repost them over the holidays, or maybe do it next year for my anniversary show. I didn't even have like, my voice hadn't even cracked yet. I sounded like a little kid back then because I was. So I would just, do my podcast / audio blog, kind of do a ripoff of Limbaugh as best as I could. I'll admit that. And then, I did that and kind of put it out there on the web for no one in particular. And that was like my 8th grade year. Well, freshman year of high school, I was in another history class, and I found out that there were some other students in my high school who, like me, had more like conservative values, I guess. And they were like, man, I just really don't like, I wish there were, I wish there was just like a regular kind of like Republican guy like me, who was around our age and did some politics and did some culture. So I actually, and I, he didn't say exactly like that, but he said something similar. So I started, kind of promoting my show to some of the other underground, big bad right-wingers, quote unquote, in my school. And the show started to grow a little bit. 2011, I know I'm kind of jumping forward from like 2009 to 2011, but 2011 was really kind of when I decided, okay, I want to become more serious about this. Here's the other thing. I wasn't really that much of a political guy in terms of like, obviously, yeah, that was an interest of mine academically, but also, I'm a guy who has always liked pop culture and music and, other things that were non-political too. I've always described myself as a pop culture critic who got stuck in the middle of the culture war from an early age. Right? So, that's me. And I wasn't really searching for anyone like that, but when I was, like I said, in 2011, a family friend of my mother's actually turned me on to Andrew Breitbart, back when Breitbart.com was just called Big Hollywood. That's what it was called. Big Hollywood. There was big government. There was big journalism, and that was it. And the website wasn't designed like it is now. It looked a lot more like the Drudge Report still does. But Andrew Breitbart wrote a lot more about culture than just politics too. So I started to follow him. During that time too was also when I started to get into stand-up comedy. That was when I dug into more of like, I grew up watching Seinfeld, but I had never seen like any of Seinfeld's skits. But that was like when I also discovered, Bill Burr. He was like big when I was in high school, or I guess starting to become big. I remember Jim Gaffigan was big at the time. Not really that he's like a political guy, but I also remember my stepdad introduced me to the comedic stylings of Dennis Miller, and he had a radio show as well. I really Dennis's old radio show was really good too, and I actually got to talk to him a few times later on when I would call into the show. Once I moved here and got into college, I would call in occasionally to that show. And I know I'm kind of jumping around the timelines, but anyway. So high school was also when I discovered comedy and when I discovered Adam Carolla, who's kind of the podfather. Carolla is kind of like a conservative libertarian type, I would say. And one of those like old school radio shock jocks, kind of like Howard Stern. But I mean, I've always liked Adam Carolla. So anyway, I started to listen to his podcast, The Adam Carolla Show. And during this podcast was the first time I heard Andrew Breitbart speak, actually. So, I remember hearing this portion of the Adam Carolla Show with Andrew Breitbart and really thinking, yeah, this guy is my guy. I totally relate to him. So anyway, this clip is old, but I dug it up on YouTube. I think I've played this before, but anyway, let's roll the tape. Here is an old school clip of Adam Carolla with the late Andrew Breitbart from back in 2010, I believe. Let's see. Okay, let's see. Okay, yeah, here it is.
Yeah, but here's the question, because I wonder about this as someone who's labeled a right winger and a bigot, a horrible Hollywood dad.
You?
Yeah,
I heard what you were talking about in the last segment.
I get a lot of that. I get a lot of that just because I have strong opinions on things.
But sometimes you do it as satirically. I think that would.
Well, the thing is they run. Here's a couple things. You could say, I'm for gay marriage. I'm for the legalization of marijuana. I'm for a woman's right to choose, and I want us to pull out of Afghanistan. And then you could go, but I don't think taxes should be raised. And they'd go, fucking righty.
Yeah.
You're such a right-winger. You and Chuck Heston should go polish your musket somewhere. And you're like, am I not allowed to have one opinion? Yeah. One fucking opinion that differs from your super lefty agenda? I have one opinion, less government, and then maybe we share 8 out of 10 opinions. But I have one opinion about beefing up the border, and all of a sudden, me and Ronald Reagan are just going on a hayride somewhere to hell. And it's like, why am I not allowed to have one opinion that differs from you? And then why, if I had 8 opinions that covered you, but 2 that differed from you, then how can you call me a member of this group when I have more in common with the group that you're associated with?
Here's what I'll tell you about this. I really am not that political. I don't even care what my opinion is on gay marriage or on abortion. I care about ending the tyranny that you see from the hard left. I really don't like the hard left. I don't mind my liberal Democrat neighbors, who are JFK liberals. I hate the tyranny of the hard left. Wherever you see the left in charge, Hugo Chavez's Venezuela, in Cuba, there isn't a First Amendment. There isn't free speech. And so think about this. During the anti-war campaign against George Bush, you heard dissent is patriotic, dissent is patriotic, dissent is patriotic. And then Joe Lieberman, who 3 years before that, was the standard bearer of the Democratic Party, running as vice president, he disagrees on one thing. He says, no, I support George Bush on the war on terror. And the hard left extricated him and annihilated him and took away his reputation with the Democratic Party for disagreeing on one thing.
Right.
I hate that.
Well, let me ask this. I have this theory, which is I don't think that the hard left hates Republicans. I think they just hate this country. I really do think they hate this country. And they never say that. They do that thing where they go, we support the troops, we love the troops, but we don't support the cause.
Right.
And by the way, saying that it's like saying I love the players but I hate the team.
Right.
Or I wish they'd lose the game but I love the players. Like, which is it? If you support the troops or you love the troops, then don't give me that bullshit where you get to have it both ways, where you get to be the patriot, love the troops, but you don't like the cause. But whenever you really get into it with these people, whether it be I remember when Reagan called the Soviet Union an evil empire, and a lot of people on the left got their panties in a bunch. Hugo Chavez, any of these people, Castro. What are you big fans of these people? Really? Like, are you really big fans of these super oppressive dictators? Are you really big fans of what goes on in the Middle East and how they treat their women over there? I thought you were all about humanitarian rights. I thought the whole deal was you're about the individual and their rights. And all these fucking countries that you semi-glorify and protect, they're horrible, and they're horrible to their people. You should be the tip of the spear when it comes to getting those guys out of office or doing whatever we need to do over there. So is it that you really love them, or is it more that you hate us? And I suspect it's a self-loathing thing. I know it is, from a psychodynamic standpoint. Right. They have no... It's like all the people that were here that were, communists or socialists back in the day, they didn't know for one goddamn hot second what it was like over there. And they wouldn't have lasted 10 seconds in a communist regime. There's no sane person or honest person that says, oh, no, I think communism is a better lifestyle and a better way of governing people. No, they hate this. It's not that they like that. They hate this, but they won't admit that they hate this.
Yeah, they're just not intellectually honest about it.
They're angry at the man.
I actually like leftists who will admit that they're Marxist-Leninists, and they exist, and they say, I want to take this country down. At least they're honest about it. I can be friends with them. I can, have beers with them. What I don't like is how they get, the PR that they're peaceful, and they're saying, hey, let's try and find common ground with Hugo Chavez and Ahmadinejad, and let's meet together. Think about how they treat Sarah Palin. Think about how they treat conservatives. They're hardly peaceful people when it comes to dealing with people in the United States. Think about how they treated the Mormon Church. Think about how they treated that cashier at Al Coyote who gave $100.
Okay, so you guys kind of, get the point with that. And, basically I'm kind of the same way as both Breitbart and, Corolla. As far as, gay marriage goes, as far as the government is concerned, I really don't, care about that. If you want to smoke, pot and marijuana, go for it. But, I think everyone should respect the Constitution, respect the, First and especially Second Amendment. I think you should take care of your kids if you have them and don't rely on the government. Just be a good citizen. Don't trust the federal government too much, and just don't be a dick. That's pretty much my philosophy. So anyway, so that was one part of that was one key thing about Breitbart that I really admired. It wasn't really until about a month before his death, when he made his now famous CPAC speech that I really even felt, really convicted to take action. It was almost biblical how convicted I felt. And this is what I'm about to play is the end of Breitbart's famous CPAC speech, where he says, and I quote, "I will stand behind whoever the presidential candidate is. Otherwise, we will lose." So let me see if I can find that real quick. It's been a while, but here it is. Breitbart would have supported Trump, and he would have. Clip number 2.
The mainstream media refuses to tell you that these are the same shock troops that have been shocking us, pointing their fingers at us, trying to instigate riots with the police. These people are the definition of un-American. So you want a unity speech? You want a unity speech? I'll give you a unity speech. I don't care who our candidate is, and I haven't since the beginning of this. I haven't. Ask not what the candidate can do for you. Ask what you can do for the candidate. And that's what the Tea Party is. We are there to confront them on behalf of our candidate. I will march behind whoever our candidate is, because if we don't, we lose. There are two paths. There are two paths. One is America, and the other one is Occupy. One is America, the other one is Occupy. And I don't care. Along the way, and I'm not a candidate, I'm never going to be a candidate, I'm just a goofball from Los Angeles who wears goofy shoes, promised people I would shave, didn't, promised people I'd take a shower, I got too caught up talking to everybody, and here I am, kind of a mess, but kind of excited to be here. Because over the last 3 years, I've realized that the Republican Party and the conservative movement is not what ABC and CBS puts on the screen. They try to portray you in the worst possible light. And when I walk through CPAC, or I travel the United States to meet people in the Tea Party who care, black, white, gay, and straight, anyone that's willing to stand next to me to fight the progressive left, I will be in that bunker. And if you're not in that bunker because you're not satisfied with this candidate, more than shame on you, you're on the other side.
And that is more and more true every single day. So, even though I wasn't old enough to vote in, 2012, I still, supported Romney when I could. Also, about a month after Breitbart made that speech, he passed away. And I never got the opportunity to meet Andrew Breitbart. I never got the opportunity to have him on my podcast, The Whitfield Analysis, at the time. I genuinely wish that I had. I knew people who had interviewed him. I know people who worked with Andrew Breitbart at the time. My friend Dan Sandini, who runs Daylight Disinfectant in that YouTube channel, is a friend of mine, and he worked with Andrew Breitbart. He's actually in one of Breitbart's last films, Occupy Unmasked. So that's a great movie. If you guys haven't seen that, it used to be on Netflix, as was Hating Breitbart, the Andrew Breitbart documentary, but I recommend you check both of those out. So after Breitbart's death, I honestly was in a period of grief for a time, because this was a man who I felt really spoke to me and spoke to the younger generation of conservatives out there. And so, I kind of vowed in my own way to really start taking the show seriously and kind of continue Breitbart's legacy. I know that might seem kind of weird, but I was 17, and at that time, the podcast wasn't becoming real big yet. But I was determined to stick with the show and just kind of hack at it. Then I got the idea to reach out to Ben Shapiro later that year. I saw him on CNN with Piers Morgan, and this was after Sandyhook, when Ben Shapiro famously, skewered Piers Morgan on gun laws here in America, back when Ben was still based, somewhat. I miss based Ben Shapiro, by the way. Based Ben Shapiro would have voted for Donald Trump. Not sure what Daily Wire Ben Shapiro would have done, but I think based Ben Shapiro would have, supported Donald Trump. Anyway, so I remember reaching out to Ben, who was editor of Breitbart at the time, or one of the assistant editors after Breitbart passed. I emailed him and told him I was a senior in high school and that I wanted to interview him. This was in October of 2012, and wasn't expecting a response, but I got one, and he agreed to it, and I hosted him and had him on my show. I was super nervous because he was one of the first big conservative personalities I had, but he was well, for those of you guys who keep asking, yes, he really does talk that fast. He talks faster than I think, and so I don't know, maybe he has a touch of ADHD or Asperger's or something. I'm not sure. And I know, it could be part of that, Jewish intellectual thing too, but, who knows? Regardless, though, I actually got Ben Shapiro to laugh a few times in that interview because I mostly asked him about Andrew, and, that was really why I wanted him on the show. And so we had a good conversation. Again, this is pre-Daily Wire Ben Shapiro. So yeah, I had him on my show, Shady J. I didn't have him for room wax, unlike Owen, who wanted that. Oh, and I'll get to Owen later on in the program. But after I had Ben on the show, another young conservative named Jason Vealey. Well, there was Jason Vealey and Caden Cowger. They were both up and coming YouTubers. Caden had done YouTube and Jason did podcasts, but they had just started their own podcasting network called Junior Factor Nation, and they wanted me as a host on their podcast network, so I agreed. So I joined their network, and we kind of built that up. That was my senior year of high school, and some of those shows were good. Some of them were kind of cringe, looking back. But anyway, we had that. I moved from, Colorado. I moved from Colorado to Florida, and that was in 2013. I was still with JFN, and then I can't remember why we disbanded the podcast group, but we did. And that was like in 2014. In 2014, I started NGC Media with a few other friends, and that lasted for about a year before it also kind of went belly up. And at that point, I decided to strike out solo, and I was doing the podcast for a while. So by 2015, that was when the 2016 election was coming up. At first, I didn't really support Trump from the get-go. I regrettably was like a Rubio candidate supporter in the very early days. What was I thinking? Probably because I had just moved to Florida, and I guess I thought that I should support my Florida guy, but whatever. I went to cruise. I wasn't never Trump, but I was still kind of in the mindset that Trump was too abrasive at the time. And then as Trump's campaign started gaining more and more momentum, I was kind of like, you know what? I like the fact that Trump's a kind of like a troll and kind of a shit poster. This guy is hilarious. So I wouldn't say I jumped on the Trump train right away. Ultimately, what caused me to jump on the Trump train, though, was the fact that a lot of conservatives, quote unquote, that I've been friends with, they went never Trump. I mean, just full-blown never Trump. And I was kind of like, well, even if you don't like Trump, he's probably going to be the candidate, so I'm still going to back him. And so this was like the summer of 2016. That happened. And in May of 2016, I was actually in New York City, and just for shits and grins, I went into Trump Tower and I actually bought a Trump hat from Trump Tower, and officially, endorsed Trump. And one of the college Republican blogs I was writing for, decided to go never Trump. I would later find out that they were getting financial support, or I'm not sure if they were. I can't confirm if they were getting financial support from some of the never Trumpers, but their decision, I had heard whispers of it, and their decision to basically can anyone who was voting for Trump from their writing staff. That was, they basically decided to axe me. So basically I took I took a lot of their audience just that was following their blog. And also, I also formed a group called American Watchmen with some of the other writers who had left, and That's Josh and Gabe, who I've had on the podcast before. And American Watchmen is still it's still a thing, but we've kind of been inactive for the last year. So anyway, also Trump wins in 2016. So that was terrific. I can't remember what I did in 2016, but that was when I continued to kind of grow the podcast. Alright, so now we're getting to the stage where most of you guys know me now, okay? March of 2018. At this point, I've been listening to Joe Rogan's podcast for a couple years now, probably since my senior year of high school, and I really like Rogan's conversational style. And Joe Rogan has this guy named Owen Benjamin on his show, who I've seen on Crowder before, but I haven't really, I don't really know that much about him. So at the time, Owen was, I might even have to pull up a YouTube clip of this, because it is unbelievable how much different Owen was back in his Joe Rogan days when he was on Rogan's podcast. Maybe I should. I'll pull it up. But anyway, he's on Rogan's podcast, and at the time, he seems like a pretty normal guy, kind of like me, kind of a cultural libertarian. I knew that he was a comedian, from Crowder. Hadn't. Yeah, this mic stand is crap, guys. But oh yeah, that's right. I can't play Bent Pixels. Yeah, thanks for reminding me, El Caballo. Anyway, though, Owen seemed normal back then, and so I remember feeling bad because during that podcast, Kurt Metzger talked over Owen the whole entire time. So I found out about the Bears. And I had tweeted something out to just Twitter and said that I've discovered the Owen comedy guy on Rogan, and I kind of liked him, and one of the Bears reached out to me and invited me into the Discord, and anyway, yeah, I'm not going to have Amy cut my hair. Yeah, no thanks. So when I got into the Discord I was in, it was Kana's Discord, and I met everyone, but I particularly gravitated towards the group known as the Danger Zone. Which was basically just a group of guys and girls who were just like guys and gals who would stream all day for 8 hours, just talking about like whatever. So I started hanging out with the artist now known as John Arcade, and he is an artist. Probably not Jen was there. Zenit Ford was there. Let's see. Gabe. I mean, we had so many people. Island would pop into our streams, and I mean, everyone. I would pop in. John Nerai of Knee TV in the morning would pop in. That was another thing. Of course, Amethyst would be in there too. Oh, that's the other thing. Nerai in the morning. What a great program. Yeah, 6. Oh, and Sirio too. How could I forget Sirio bot in there too? But yeah, so the Danger Zone streams were awesome. And then Owen's opener, Eric Nimmer, honestly was always weird. Like, immediately when I joined the Discord, people who I didn't even know were already asking me to, donate to his special. And I had no idea who this guy was. I listened to a few of his stand-up clips. And the one joke that he had was that anyone remembers, and it's not even that funny, was I joined the military so that white people could thank me for my service. I never thought that was funny, but to each his own. But there seemed to be like a cult that was like surrounding around around Eric Nimmer, right? So I was in a DZ stream one time, and Neri's in there, and he says that he's been trying to help Nimmer with his comedy. And so I can't remember exactly how it went down, but long story short, there was a roast battle that happened between Nerai and Nimmer, and Nimmer was the supposed like professional stand-up comedian, and we all thought that Nerai was going to get his ass kicked in this roast battle, right? But Nerai actually ended up like roasting Nimmer so bad, and you can see this in the Porcelain documentary because there were some clips of it. How like that's the one part of the movie where I actually make a cameo. Basically, Nerai obliterated Nimmer. So then, the Nimmer fan club like started accusing Nerai of being a racist. Now, anyone who knows Nerai knows that even though Nerai is like an Italian white guy, he's married to an actual African woman. Like, not an African American, but an actual African. So, you know, the fact that these bears, these quote unquote conservatives, were calling Neri a racist just for out roasting Nimmer really did not sit well with me. And I found out later. I didn't know any of this had happened because this had happened before me, but evidently Nimmer had like a history of harassing women at Owen's comedy shows, which didn't, you know, sit well with me. I can't remember exactly like what the exact breaking moment was, but we decided to leave. Oh yeah, now I do remember one of the events at least. But I remember that like Owen started to kind of like after he got banned from Twitter. Owen got banned from Twitter for saying the N-word too many times. Well, and for like making a really lewd joke about David Hogg's pubic hairs. So Owen got kicked off Twitter, and that was when he really kind of started to lash out. And you know, like say that there were dissonant bears, and there was one incident in particular where I remember where Owen made fun of a disabled comedian who also had who has cerebral palsy like me, and this comedian by the name of Joe Ural simply roasted Owen on his Facebook page or on his Instagram page, and he was like, I can't even remember what Ural's initial joke was, but it was something like about how you know, alt-right comedian Owen Benjamin got banned off of, you know, Twitter and then couldn't sell tickets to his, you know, own shows, and basically Owen just made like a series of really bad wheelchair jokes that weren't even jokes. They were more like downright insults. Not only that, but he had to crowdfund them from the Bears, who honestly at that point they were making some really trashy, just downright disgusting remarks about disabled people in general. And I'm not one to get, you know, like insulted easily by, you know, wheelchair jokes. Like my friends roast on me all the time about that. But these were just like downright nasty, you know, comments. So at that point, we were, yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. Joe Ural, Jones Townbear says Joe Ural said Owen had to leave Oswego because he couldn't stop fucking sleuths. Oh yeah, that's right. I do remember that. So that hit a nerve. And Owen it was just a roast, but like I said, Owen took things, you know, and rather than just roasting, downright insulted him. So we were pretty much out at that point. And also, because some of us were like trying to, you know, there was also this big infighting between the pro Nimmer camp, and those of us who were not for Nimmer. And so we were out. Also, Jonestown Bear, Owen had called him like a stalker. So we basically, like 20 or 30 of us, decided to leave the Bears and do our own thing. And we basically left, I think, like in May of 18. I'm doing all this from memory. This is why I need a cork board of like all the dates. So we left the Bears and did our own thing. I went back to like just doing political commentary at that point in 18 to like during that fall. I had been focused on the on the Florida primaries. So I've been focused on that. I've been focused on finishing up college at my local community college here and transferring to the university where I'm at now. I graduate from the community college in December of 18. Christmas happens. And then I think only like a day or two after Christmas was when the infamous Dark Side of the Moon stream happens, and Jonestown and Gabe get doxxed publicly by Owen and accused of sending poisonous gummy dicks that I guess Owen had received earlier in the summer that weren't poison. They were, they were like those prank gummy dicks that you can send to people like by one of those gag websites. But anyway, Johnny and Gabe were accused of like trying to poison Owen's kids with no evidence whatsoever. And then the rest of us, who had also left the Bears, like back in May, we were all put onto a literal Twitter list and all accused of a conspiracy to harm Owen's family. For me personally, the Bears had tried to report my podcast to Apple Podcasts and get me deplatformed that way. Some of them were like basically trying to shut my content down. Some of them were like trying to find out where I lived unsuccessfully. And I mean, it got crazy. They were basically acting like leftists, Antifa. So, at that point, I felt obligated to, to help clear my name. Not only that, but also to help clear Johnny's name and support him. which I think we've done. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, Johnny also brings up Base Texan. Base Texan, Owen's assassin at the time. I remember he tweeted something like really lewd at me, saying something like, you know, despite you being in a wheelchair, you could end up in prison for this, treacherous conspiracy. And we all know what they do to, cripples in prison. Something like really ominous and creepy like that. He deleted the tweet afterwards, before I could screen cap it. But it was all really messed up. But at that point, Owen and the Bears had gone full-blown left / alt-right. Not only that, but Owen had started ranting about the moon, how we never went to the moon, which I could have cared less about. But then he started going all full-on anti-Semite and hitting the Jews and going after them. He went after ROTC Media, too. He went after Mersh and Nightwave Radio. And just started going off the deep end. I mean, Owen is full alt-right. And look, as a conservative libertarian, as a guy who wants freedom and liberty, I don't like the far left, the radical left. I don't like the far right. They're two sides of the same shitty coin to me. It's identity politics, and it's tyranny, or the ideas of it, and I don't like that. Ironically, Owen was afraid of becoming alt-right when I first discovered him. I remember that was like one of the things they would always talk about when we were there, about how he was not an alt-righter. He was just a simple comedian. And then he started ranting about the Jews, and ranting about the blacks, and ranting about minorities. Not even like funny, but just cringy and hateful. Like, and I'm not, hate speech, but just truly disgusting stuff. So, Owen, you lived long enough to see yourself become the villain. So, let's see. I want to play two things here. So, I want to play an old clip, my analysis of Owen Benjamin from March of this year, when he called out, when Owen was declaring violence on people. This was even before the Nick Fuentes thing. And this one, when he was first saying, I want to decide who needs to live and who needs to die. I shared this on Davey Crocco's stream last night, but I want to play again because, I have a little bit to add to that now. Probably not Jen Coase. Alan sent me a box of trash last night. Why am I not surprised? Okay. Alright. So, here is... Let's see here. So, this is from the Whitfield report from March of this year. This is an excerpt where I warn people of Owen's call to violence. Now, he's gone full alt-right at this point, in my mind at least, and he's also declaring actual violence against people. So here's the excerpt. Again, this is me doing commentary on one of Owen's clips.
Open borders are not happening in my chat. This is the last time I ever do open chat. I've been catching some of the people, and not only do I not want an open chat, I don't want anyone ever coming into my country ever again, and I want to start weeding out the weak. So when people go, oh my God, what are you scared of? I'm not scared of shit. I'm not scared to the point where I'm like, who needs to die? Scared? Oh, dude. All right, let's start talking about some shit. No more. Guys,
Okay, I'm not scared to the point where I'm like, who needs to die? Okay, this is beyond hate speech, in air quotes. This is beyond, whatever grievance Jack might have with, Ben Shapiro over calling out transgender people. You guys on the left, you guys wanted your crazy right-winger, quote-unquote, gone berserk. Owen, here's the thing. Owen's not even a conservative. He's a fucking leftist. Posing. He's a wolf in sheep's clothing. But, I know that expression is hilarious. But keep in mind, let me just back this up again. Because this is some scary shit. Okay, let's play this over again, shall we?
I want to start weeding out the weak. Yeah, I don't want anyone ever coming into my country ever again, and I want to start weeding out the weak. So when people go, oh my God, what are you scared of? I'm not.
I want to start weeding out the weak. Again, this is him going crazy. Or crazier, I should say.
Scared of shit. I'm not scared to the point where I'm like, who needs to die? Scared? Oh.
Okay, yeah, not only that, but he can't stream because his video card is dying / but all that aside, who needs to die? Owen is doing the shit that mass shooters do before they go and do a school shooting. Here's my manifesto. We need to get rid of the weak people. Here's who needs to die. This is shooter manifesto bullshit right here. And I'm not saying he's going to be the one to do this. who knows? Maybe nothing will come of this. I don't know. But the fact that this is out there is fucking scary. Again, and again, this is a guy who has been on the Daily Wire. He's been on Steven Crowder's show. He's been on countless other outlets. This is the guy that everyone needs to disavow, and disavow quickly, because he is now literally making calls to violence en masse. This is legitimately scary shit. This is shit that deserves to be taken off YouTube. This is I mean, I'm so livid, I don't even know what to say. It gets better, though.
Alright, let's start talking about some shit. No more. Guys, I'm never, ever doing open chat again. And I know some people are like, hey, thanks for open. No. Someone just called my wife a name. I can't kill the person. They're just a little... No. Out. Gone. Never again. You guys are weeds.
So your first response to someone calling his wife a name is, I want to kill that person. Alright, so I'll post the link to this video in the chat. So it's me talking again now here, present day, for those of you guys listening in the audio podcast. And by the way, that popping noise that you guys are hearing is I'm playing the audio like from my I'm playing the system audio, and so for some reason I have like a little window here that allows me to see the chat in like my streaming application, and whenever you guys type something, it makes that popping noise. That's all it is. But anyway, here's the video to my original video warning of Owen Benjamin's call to violence. Notice back then in March he was threatening violence because someone allegedly called his wife a name. Just like, he's threatening violence now because I guess Nick Fuentes insulted, his wife in Owen's mind. This person probably didn't even, like, threaten Amy or, call Amy a name either, but yet he's still flipping out about it. So, anyway, that's, the fact that the bears are dangerous, just like, that, and I mean, here's the thing, like I said, Owen might not do anything, but there are bears out there who have said that they would be glad to die for Owen, in Owen's chat. John Arcade has hundreds of videos documenting that. So, Owen is... So, in summary, I guess, one of the reasons why I call Owen so much is because I find him, frankly, dangerous to the conservative cause. And believe it or not, there are still some people who think that he is a conservative. He's not. He's gonna keep being called out, right? That was one of the things that Breitbart talked a lot about too, was, not only keeping an eye on the left, but keeping an eye on bad agents who, made the right look bad. I think Owen is still a leftist agent. Honestly, my theory is that he was one of these plants that got put in by the DNC to make right wingers look bad, especially the Trump movement. I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. But this will be the last stream on Owen I do for a while. But and it's not even really about Owen. It's more like on my background. Hey, on tap, I'm glad you joined us. So welcome to the chat. On tap, I think that's Jason, and as I said, Jason is one of my old co-hosts back from the JFN days. So yeah. So aside from politics and all that, I also like to do movie reviews and whatnot. So I also like to do lots of movie reviews. Now, I can't do movie reviews on YouTube, at least the way I want to do them yet, because of copyright and whatnot. So YouTube loves to take down commentary videos. Whenever I've tried to do a movie review of some kind, or TV where I play clips, they always love to strike them, which, I mean, I get that, obviously, yeah, there's the copyright thing, but it's fair use. Even with that, I can't seem to get around it. So, that's why I have the audio podcast that you can subscribe to down here. So, yeah. In those episodes, I do the movie review podcast on Thursdays. It's not always a movie review. I also review movies and or I guess TV shows, music. Basically, like, sometimes I'll do motivational stuff. Basically, whatever has popped into my head will be on the Thursday show. So subscribe on iTunes or Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever else you get your podcasts, and go over there. So yeah. Finally, maybe I should save this for Saturday's show. I was going to go and talk about Milo's leaked clip of Richard Spencer, but you know what? I'm thinking I'll save that for Saturday's show when I do a dive on Trump in the 2016 election, in the 2020 election, excuse me, a bunch of stuff, and also at some point later in the month I'll be posting a survey for those of you guys who watch and listen to the show regularly, asking for your feedback on the show so far this year, what you would like me to do more of next year, and how you guys like the show overall. So anyway, thanks everyone for tuning in, and who knows, I mean, I might do another stream later tonight. Although it's 11:30, so I know that Johnny wanted to go on here and talk about Red Elements too. So I might start another stream for that too, because I have no idea what that's about. But anyway, so this was my kind of like my second autobiography stream, if you will. And I'm sure I will do another one, probably in the next, maybe I'll wait until I get to 1,000 to wait for that. So, anyway, folks, 07 to all of you in the chat. That's a salute for those of you who aren't aware of the lingo. And I will field some questions. And, oh yeah, also, I like to wear sport coats and blazers, too. So, that's why my shirt isn't off yet. Because I'm doing an official show, so I have to stay somewhat dressed up. So, yeah, I'll do another stream with Johnny and the mic just popped out. This stand really does suck, but yeah. So anyway, thanks everyone for tuning in. Sorry about the mic crash there, and I'll be back for the after show. I have no idea what's going on with Vince and the Red Elephants, so this should be interesting. So for those of you on YouTube, stay tuned, and for those of you on the audio podcast, I'll see you guys on Thursday. So yeah, I did a Gavin mic smash there. So but anyway, God bless and God freedom. I can see in that order. Ladies and gentlemen, God bless and good night. Oh yeah, sorry about that, Jason. And by the way, people want me to have like a reunion stream of like all the old guests. That's gonna be quite the coordination. So maybe we'll do a series on that in 2020. But anyway, folks, good night and God bless, and I'll see some of you guys for the after show. And and thanks. Darn it, I'm not going to be able to get out of here because I just realized too that someone sent me a super chat, or I guess Streamlabs. So before we go, I would like to do my obligations as a host, and let's see. I will do the Streamlabs donations real quick because I'm a professional. Yeah. Gavin mic drop. So, and to all the Gavin Discord members, thank you for tuning in as well. I can't quite, I can't quite name you guys on stream, but anyway. Thanks to Clamdio, who donated $5 an hour ago. No message. Anyway, thanks. So, and anyway, you guys can also donate if you like the show. Streamlabs.com/Whitfield Report and PayPal.com/Whitfield Report Pod. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, that is the news, and I am out of here, sort of. And all right, folks. God bless. See you guys for the after show. Hey there, folks. If you've made it this far to the end of the podcast, I'd like to thank you very much for listening to the show. You are the ones that make it possible for me to make an income from podcasting, and I greatly appreciate that just by listening to our show. You are helping us gain ad revenue. However, if you would really like to help support the show, I encourage you to please donate to the podcast and become a supporter of the show. You can head over to anchor.fm/Whitfield Report and click the support this podcast button and choose the amount that suits you to support the show. Or you can click the link in the show notes and it will directly take you to that page. If you can support the podcast, I really, really appreciate that. Anything that you can do to help out is greatly appreciated. Even if you can't afford to help financially support the podcast, I encourage you to please go on iTunes or Apple Podcasts or Stitcher and please leave this podcast a positive 5-star review. That really helps us out here at the Whitfield Report. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next episode.